Welcome, nutritionradio.org listeners. This is Lonnie Lowry, a university nutrition professor of over 20 years and podcast host of long-running shows like Iron Radio. Come on in.
Fitness Fridays.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. I am traveling, actually, at the time that you hear this. This is pre-recorded, but I wanted to offer something that's come up twice lately, and that is about the qualifications of a coach, a life coach, a personal trainer even. Where do they fit in the spectrum of allied health care? The truth is, they don't very well. One of the things that's important to understand is that personal training and coaching, those are certifications. There are hundreds and hundreds of certifications in the fitness realm, some of which aren't worth the paper they're printed on. You send in your money, you get certified, and then other ones require a university degree. Those are the ones that I tend to prefer because you have to understand things like, the musculoskeletal system or the digestive tract or the kinds of things that trainers often get questions about. I'll also tell you this. My personal bias is I went to school for a long time in exercise physiology. I went back for another graduate degree in nutrition and a license to practice because in nutrition, it's licensed. It's not a certification like in fitness. Think license legal, right? It's actually part of the law. If you try to do nutrition practice and the state board sees it and comes down on you, you are committing a misdemeanor crime and you're going to get in trouble. Now, a lot of the definitions are state by state, so that's important to understand. But on a fundamental level, imagine someone who wants to take it upon themselves to just call themselves a life coach without the proper training. My wife is a licensed counselor, a professional counselor. I am a licensed nutritionist. And yet this person comes along and they want to do what I do and what she does all wrapped into one and just say, well, it's because I'm a coach. That's the risk, at least. That's the risk of this kind of thing. Another risk is how do you make a referral to someone who's not licensed and really not even on the radar of other healthcare professionals? Unless that coach or personal trainer was part of a team, like in a hospital chain or something like that, it's hard to even make a referral because how does the healthcare professional with a license know that they are qualified to do what they need done? I mean, the referring healthcare professional with the license, they have a standard of practice. They are out to protect the public with those educational and practice standards. They're actually at risk if they send you or someone you know to, some hokey person with a weekend certificate. Now, not everything is health care or defined that way, as we kind of touched on. And also, one could argue that just having a license to do something doesn't make you competent. All you have to do is drive on the streets and highways and know that that's true. Not everybody with a license to drive is guaranteed to uphold standards of responsibility and, professionalism on the road. And another counter-argument might be free markets. Like instead of having a monopoly of just one licensing body, maybe there are different philosophical perspectives. Some are more experiential. I mean, that's definitely a way to get educated and not just a university education. But it's sometimes nice to have this more open market where the best trainers or coaches come to the surface and people gravitate toward them because they get the results they should in a safe manner. And this brings up my last point in this little rant, and that's if you are an undergraduate student and you're going to school for a degree in exercise science, what does that mean? What is the profession of exercise science? I can tell you as someone who's been the president of exercise physiology groups that fought for licensure, because I think it's frankly absurd that you need a license to cut hair in my state or tell someone to eat a banana as part of a diet plan, but not to put an obese, arrhythmic, out-of-control diabetic person on a treadmill and potentially kill him? And when I say out of control, of course, I mean outside of normal blood glucose ranges. But I digress. My point is there arguably is no scope and definition of exercise science as a profession. Exercise has been co-opted by other professions, largely physical therapy, yes, somewhat dietetics. There's a couple of different professional groups that use exercise as part of what they do. So it's unlikely at this point that you're going to get a strong push for licensure in states where there's no room left at the table. Now, one risk with defining a scope of practice and profession might be that, like, there is one state where exercise physiologists are technically cardiac rehab focused. I think a lot of people in the exercise realm, a lot of graduates with a degree in exercise science, they might not want to be pigeonholed in that direction. But in the industry of personal training, let's say, or vague life coaching, I think these undergraduates need to think about, what am I doing? I still think exercise physiology as a bachelor's degree is a great stepping stone to other professions. In fact, it often is used for such, toward physical therapy, occupational therapy, dietetics, even medicine. There's lots of things you can do as far as going in different directions with that strong laboratory-based basis of understanding physiology. But if you're just going to stop with a bachelor's degree, you need to have a very specific plan. And if you're going to open a gym, we used to talk about this on Iron Radio, you better do the ins and outs financially before you go open a big plaza front location and realize that starting with essentially zero members, you're not going to be able to pay that thousands of dollar rent price tag every month. So I suppose this rant is part just buyer beware. As a consumer or client, potential client, do your homework on someone who you might go to. See if you can't get at least an informal recommendation from a qualified health professional or coach or athlete that you admire. Ask about education. Ask about experience. There's a ton of things, results from the clients that they work with. But understand that the bar is set quite low in the wild west of exercise professions. And conversely, if you're a student, don't just accept rainbows and sunshine. I actually had quite a bunch of sunshine blown at me about, the world is what you make of it, and you can work in, this type of setting and that type of setting and research, and you can, the world is what you make of it. And that was sort of at odds when I saw people graduating from my master's degree program taking minimum wage jobs, more or less, as personal trainers. And then it sort of dawns on you that personal training is a profession that doesn't require 4 years of your life and 50 to 100 grand in tuition. So if you want to stay at the bachelor's level, go apprentice under certified strength coaches. And again, in this case, I'm saying like a National Strength and Conditioning Association, university strength coach. Build that sort of portfolio of the teams that you work with, the athletes that you help produce, and things of that nature. As an undergrad or grad student in exercise science, you might even go so far as to ask the faculty, what are the pipeline opportunities where you can actually go move toward internship and then actual employment with some organization that's connected to that university? Let me just finish by saying this is a rant. Some of this is my personal bias. Some of this is, of course, factual. Please follow up and ask if you have comments that you don't agree with what I'm saying. Leave a comment, Lawnman07 on YouTube. You can do it there. Or you can email me. It's lawnman7@hotmail.com. It's just phonetic like it sounds. And I'm happy to talk about any of this. But for now, we're going to call that a wrap. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week. The NutritionRadio.org podcast is for informational purposes only. If you're interested in starting a diet or exercise program, check with your physician, nutritionist, or qualified exercise physiologist in order to make the progress that you need.